make people understand when they come in to see me, I try to allow them to understand their own body, what their body's feeling, what their body's going through.
Interesting.
So I don't try to like, oh, hey, just lay down and I'm going to move energy around. It's mainly like, no, like you need to allow yourself to release. You need to allow yourself to release whatever it is that you need to release.
All right, guys, we got Reiki Master Jimmy from Divine Healing Energy. Thanks for coming on, man.
Well, thank you for inviting me as well.
Yeah, this is a very interesting one for me. I've never had a Reiki specialist on here.
So I do Reiki. I try to focus more on energy because I get a lot of criticism from people that actually do Reiki. They're like, that's not Reiki. Well, the thing is, it's energy. Reiki, what does that Reiki stand for? So it's pretty much universal life energy. So Reiki is a Japanese word. So in reality, I am just a vessel. I'm just a middleman right here and just moving energy. So that's pretty much what I try to do.
So can you see people's energy fields and auras?
So I sometimes can, but I mainly feel.
Got it.
Mainly everything is feeling. So that's why people can feel. So that's why people can feel the energy moving within them. And that's pretty much what I try to do.
Interesting. So you could touch a body part and sense tension.
Yeah. And actually, all the body parts hold in emotions, hold in energy. So that's what I try to make people understand. When they come in to see me, I try to allow them to understand their own body, what their body's feeling, what their body's going through.
Interesting.
So I don't try to like, oh, hey, just lay down and I'm going to move energy around. It's mainly like, no, like you need to allow yourself to release. You need to allow yourself to release whatever it is that you need to release. So if, for example, I tell everybody, like, if you look at it as more like a tree, so from our hips up is our trunk. From our hips down are our roots, just like a tree is. So our parents represent from our hips down. So right side being masculine, that's the father. Left side being feminine, that's the mother. So that's why when people get like sciatica pain or anytime they tell me like, you know what, I have a lot of hip pain on my right side. Okay, how's your relationship with your dad?
Wow.
And they'll just tell me like, oh, it's actually not the best. I actually have a lot of trauma from my father or vice versa from my mother. Okay, so do you feel that? Yeah. So that's when I try to like talk them in through forgiveness because that's what will kind of help liberate that energy, will help liberate that.
That is interesting.
Yeah.
So what causes the pain in the upper body then if the bottom is parental?
So a lot of it could be fear, anger, and a lot of it is reacting. So that's why I tell everybody, like, say, for example, I go and clear you and you feel good, right? If you go on that very same day and somebody says something to you and you react to them with either anger, fear, like, what the, you know, what'd you do? Why'd you say that? You are starting to create those blockages again. You are starting to block yourself again. So that's why I tell everybody, like, go on as if, like, you know what? It's an exercise. So it's not just like, okay, you're clear, now you're good to go. No.
Right.
It's like, it's an exercise. Now you have to try to keep maintaining yourself clear, maintaining yourself, like healed if you want to be living like that too.
The videos of you clearing some of these people are insane. We'll throw some up, but I've seen, like, people shaking.
Yeah. And, like, I tell everybody, like, that's your body's response because every single person lives life differently, has gone through different traumas, have gone through different life, you know, whatever happened to them, right?
Yeah.
So that's why everybody has a different release. Some people don't release that way. Some people release a lot in just emotional crying. Some people, you know, it just depends on how they went through life and how they're allowing their body response to it. Because, for example, I have people that do come and they're just like, you know, that didn't happen to me. I was like, did you allow yourself? Like, because sometimes the first thing that wants to come out are emotions. Emotions are the first thing that want to come out because think of like the heart. The heart is what holds pain, right? So when the heart first starts to release, that's the first thing that wants to come out are emotions. But if you're a person that like has gone through so much and all you think about is like, no, I can't let it go. I don't want to be vulnerable, right? So then you close yourself off. You don't allow your heart to open up. And that's why they say like the best way to open up your heart is to cry. So as soon as you start to open up your heart, think of that, it's like a gateway. And all of a sudden, all these other emotions start to pour out. And that's when your body is like, finally, we can release.
Wow.
Because you that's the first step to like giving your body the permission it needs to start.
All right, guys, shout out to LinkedIn, today's sponsor. As a B2B marketer, you know how noisy the ad space can be. If your message isn't targeted to the right audience, it just disappears into the noise. Luckily, with LinkedIn ads, you could precisely reach the professionals who are more likely to find your ad relevant. With LinkedIn's targeting capabilities, you can reach them by job title, industry, company, and more. Stand out with LinkedIn ads and start converting your B2B audience into high-quality leads today. LinkedIn ads allows you to build the right relationships, drive results, and reach your customers in a respectful environment. You'll have direct access and build relationships with decision makers. There's over 1 billion members on their platform, 180 million senior level executives and 10 million C-level executives. You'll be able to drive results with targeting and measurement tools built specifically for B2B. In technology, LinkedIn generated 2 to 5x higher return on ad spend than other social media platforms. You'll work with a partner who respects the B2B world you operate in. 79% of their content marketers said LinkedIn produces the best results for paid media. Me personally, I've found some great podcast guests, and it's been an incredible platform for finding out new information. Start converting your B2B audience into high quality leads today. We'll even give you a $100 credit on your next campaign. Go to linkedin.com/social to claim your credit. That's linkedin.com/social. Terms and conditions apply. LinkedIn, the place to be.
To release your body, it needs to just start to let go, and that's when everybody's body will just be like, oh, I'm starting to feel it. And it feels like it starts to feel like a magnet pulling you, pushing you. So in this life, like, that's what resistance is, right? Everything is a duality. The way your muscle is a push or a pull. The same thing with that feeling is like a push or a pull. And it'll just like move with you too.
That's interesting. I never realized how long emotions were stored in the body. I thought it was temporary.
No, they could keep coming back if you keep allowing them. And that's why it's like an exercise to keep releasing them. And sometimes it could be like through the somatic touches. That's why throughout my sessions, I'll do like a lot of physical touching.
Yeah.
But I'll touch hard. Like I won't do soft touching. I won't just hover my hands. No, I'll touch hard and kind of like tell your body like, hey, it's okay to release. It's okay to release. And all of a sudden, it's like that's when certain things start to happen, especially like, for example, anxiety.
Yeah.
A lot of people get anxiety, right? A lot of people are starting to get more anxiety. And anxiety is also kind of like, think of your crown chakra like being blocked and then your root chakra being blocked. So then think of like a bottle of water, right? All that water and there's like all this intense energy just stuck in there and it can't flow out. So then all of a sudden when you feel that like not having a sense of control, that's when you start to feel that anxiety kicking in. So starting to like unblock, the first part is the chakra. When you start to unblock the crown chakra, all of a sudden you feel that energy start to flow out, especially through like the bottom. So I know everybody knows that there's 7 main chakras, right?
Yep.
The crown, third eye, throat, heart, solar, sacral, and root. But what I discovered is, and a lot of people do know this, but there's also 2 lower chakras in between your knees and on your feet. So once you start to unblock those chakras, you physically feel energy just rushing out, rushing out of your feet. And that's actually like, they say like, oh, you want to ground yourself, go and touch the ground with your bare feet, right?
Yeah.
But if you're actually blocked on your feet, you could touch the ground all you want, but there's no communication.
Dang.
There's no communication with the earth. So once you start to unblock that, you literally feel like you could touch the earth and you just feel so much more grounded.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Where are you seeing anxiety in the body? Is it in the chest area? Because I used to get it in my chest.
So everybody gets it different. Everybody gets it up here. Some people get it in the heart. Some people feel it in their stomach. So that's why some people are like, oh, I get anxiety and I just feel like this hurt, pain in my stomach. Or like you said, some people get it in their heart. It'll start to race. Some people, they'll feel it in their head and all of a sudden they feel like they want to panic or, have you ever gotten a panic attack?
Yeah, once.
Yeah. How did you feel?
Dude, terrible. I passed out. I thought it was a heart attack.
Yeah. And that's how it feels like sometimes. And I think the best thing you could do, or anybody that's going through something like that, is to like kind of like calm themselves down and like, you know what, let go of control. Let go of control. Because that's one of the first things is you like to control. You like to control certain things, certain aspects of your life. And when things are out of your control, that's when you start to feel it, especially like you keep thinking of the future, like what's going to happen? Is this going to happen? And then that's when you find yourself waking up in the middle of the night, like, oh, shoot, I got to do this, because you don't know the outcome. You don't know what's going to happen. So that is having control. And that's why you feel that anxiety sometimes happening. So, for example, if you feel anxiety and you feel it a lot in your heart, could be that you have the heart chakra pretty much closed off. So once you start to open up the heart chakra, then you start to feel a lot of energy. Do you ever feel like tingling in your hands or anything like that?
Yeah, I don't know if that was Accutane side effect or not, but
yeah. So a lot of people, they'll get like, it feels like needles. It feels like certain places like energy, and that's actually energy. So that's energy. That's your cells being activated, and like stress. When stress starts to leave, a lot of people feel it a lot in their hands. When anxiety starts to leave, they feel it from their, pretty much like this part, like their elbow down. They'll feel pain. They'll feel pain during the session, but because that's like that anxiety just leaving, just just moving out.
I've had pain there before. Actually, that's crazy.
In a way, like that's your body like trying to push that out. And during the session, some people do feel pain, not excruciating pain, but they'll feel like just like really like heart pressure in certain areas, just because you can't just say like, oh, I got healed from here. No, how do you know? How do you know you actually got healed from there? The body's actually letting you know, like, this is where it's at. Release.
Yeah.
And release it and release it. So that's usually what starts to happen.
I definitely want to try it because I did just get a brain scan and some childhood trauma showed. So I think I might need to address that.
And that's another thing too, that like when I do Reiki, I don't just like, have you ever had Reiki before?
No.
So usually Reiki is like just placing hands over or over, like hovering over. I like to go in deep. I like to like, because that's one thing that I learned is like, I got to open up their heart first. Because once you can open up their heart, then their body will start to almost like do the rest. And like I said, the best way to open up their heart is through emotional release. So I try to go through like a little meditation.
Yeah.
Like try to walk them through like feeling love, first of all. Second is feeling like people that have hurt them, so resentment and all that. And then third is going through childhood trauma, going through like kind of like healing their inner child, pulling their inner child out of like a dark place,
right,
or whatever it is.
And I've been very closed off emotionally a majority of my life too, so I'm sure there's bottled up emotions.
Yeah. So do you feel like a lot more like pain or resistance like on your back?
Oh, hella. I get back pain daily.
Yeah.
I thought that was being tall, plus I have scoliosis, so
Yeah.
I never even related it to emotional trauma.
Yeah. So and that's the thing is like, since it's your muscle tissue, tendons, like they're the ones that start to hold. Because so say something traumatic happens to you, right? It's your mind, your eyes, you hear, you see, and you remember the memory, but the body is what feels. The body, so you're creating those emotions, and then the emotions go through your nervous system, and then the body will store it in certain areas.
Yeah.
So that's why those emotions and certain emotions get held in certain areas. And the body knows exactly where to store them at. The body knows exactly where it will keep them because it's intelligent like that. It is intelligent.
Are you able to perform this on yourself? Can you release your own traumas?
Actually, yes, I can. And I I have to do a lot of breath work. Because breath work, and I actually make my clients do breath work during the session because breathing is like the best way to actually get in deep. So for example, if I start doing it to you, I'm going to actually ask you, okay, how intense do you want the session to be? The more intense you want it to be, okay, go deeper inhaling and deeper exhaling. Because I tell everybody, like, think like every time that you inhale, it's like you're bringing energy to up here and then it's going to go down. So it's like we're trying to pound through those emotions, those blockages. So just deep inhales, you're trying to go in through them. And every exhale is like we're trying to unlock them and try to pull them out. So be very conscious of your breathing. And when you could do that, then you start to be more conscious of your body. Then you start to feel what part of your body is actually feeling that tension.
I'm a huge fan of breath work.
Yeah, so I believe in breath work a lot. And it's like if you can allow your body to just do what it needs to, your body's going to actually want to breathe differently.
Yeah.
It might want to breathe in like super, super deep in, or it might want to breathe like shallow but really fast. Like, so the body knows exactly what to do as long as you allow it, as long as you give it permission.
Yeah.
That's all we need to do is just give your body permission. You have to feel safe where you're at. You have to feel safe of the person doing Reiki on you too, or any energy type of healing.
Yeah. I also saw videos of you doing this virtually over Zoom, which I thought was crazy.
You know what? At first, I didn't believe in myself. Because I'm a guy, right? And us men, we're very more like analytical. We're like, we're a little bit skeptical. So I'm the very same way. But until I actually started doing it and I started seeing these results, and it was like, okay, then it's actually very
I literally
real.
saw you pinching a guy's back and he was shaking.
No, yeah, and I have so many videos of different sessions that I don't post because Some actually look like exorcisms.
Are you serious?
Yeah, like people like talking in different languages.
Holy
Like, yeah,
crap.
Yeah.
So there's some demons in people.
Yeah, 100%. There's a lot of negative energy, negative energy going around nowadays.
Yeah.
And people, especially people that are very sensitive. So, for example, if you're very sensitive, you'll feel it, but you'll attract it more. You'll
Whoa.
attract it more. So, if you think of our aura, or everybody knows the aura, right? But that's actually more like your spiritual body. A spiritual body is like outside of you and is meant to protect you. So when there's too much energy, for example, say on your left side, right? If you accumulate too much and you never get it cleansed off, then you find yourself feeling emotional, very emotional, very like, I wouldn't say depression, but it can lead to depression if it's there too long.
Wow.
The same way if it's too much on your right. If you have too much on your right, then you find yourself more defensive. You find yourself more like getting irritated or angry quicker.
Yeah.
Yeah, so then that's when it comes to like cleaning, cleansing, releasing. And then all of a sudden you're just like, oh, that doesn't hurt me
Interesting.
anymore.
Yeah.
That
Some
person
people
doesn't-
can't control their temper.
No, they can't. They can't. But, and I do understand that some of that also can come from like the mother.
The mother.
Yeah. So for example, say a mom is pregnant with a baby, right? And they're constantly getting mad or upset. They're actually passing that on to their child. Why?
Really?
Because they are actually connected through the bloodstream. So say, for example, the mom goes through a lot of stress, a lot of cortisol is being released into the blood. So that cortisol is actually going into the fetus, into the baby, and they're feeling all of that too. And I know
Wow.
that because my wife, when she was pregnant with my second son, she'd get very mad a lot. My second son, he gets mad ever since he was like 4 months.
Holy
he
crap.
would get mad all the time. And
Dang.
like I said, I didn't believe in none of this until I see it, until I
Yeah.
feel it, until I understand.
No,
it.
that's
And it's
great
like,
to
yeah.
know, because now when I have a kid, I'm going
Yeah.
to make sure she has a stress-free life.
100%. And I think actually it's good for both, if you're trying to conceive both man and woman, to actually like do things to heal yourself before you try to have a baby. Do things to heal anything of you, so that way the baby can come out like almost like a guilt-free, stress-free, and energy-free too.
Right.
So that way they could like be clean and clear and not also take on traumas from parents, grandparents, or whatever it may be too.
Yeah, you hear about generational trauma in people, right?
Yeah, and I've actually seen it. I've witnessed it. And once again, I didn't believe in it. I'm just like, that's just hocus pocus. But as I start to do more of these, I'm like, oh, wow, that actually didn't belong to this person. It belonged to a grandparent or
Really?
a mother. Yeah.
Wow.
So say, for example, we'll go to like sexual trauma, right? Because that's something that a lot of women go through that never speak up. So say, for example, it was a grandma that went through it. If they never actually like expressed it, told anybody, healed from it, actually that energy gets passed on to that child, to a certain, I'm not going to say all the children. If they, if she has like 3 children, maybe one of them is more sensitive. That child is actually radiating that same energy. And it could be that child will fall into the same.
Holy crap.
Yeah. So now that child is going through sexual trauma from somebody. And usually it is from
Dang. And they
a
have
family
no
member.
idea.
No. And then all of a sudden, then the third one comes, and they're, because whenever there's like sexual trauma, like for a woman, they'll get a lot of cysts in their ovaries, ovarian cysts, ovarian cancer, a lot of stuff down there, because that's where the trauma is held. So sometimes that third child might also be getting cysts, but they never actually went through that trauma, but because it's being passed on. And I read a lot of books, like for example, Dr. Gaber Mate. I don't know if you ever heard of him.
I've heard of him.
So he talks a lot about that, like emotional. So I like to like put this energy work with actual science. So I don't like to just go in like, oh, hey, I think this. No, like, you know what? This doctor talks a lot about this, and it makes sense, because now me actually doing energy work on people and actually seeing physically how they are responsive and their body's actually physically creating illnesses, diseases, cysts, all these things. So that's how I understand, okay, then the body will eventually get sick when you hold in all those emotions in.
And that's a rare approach. I feel like Reiki specialists don't really tie in science normally.
No, and it's not their fault, but it's because that's what Reiki's teaching you. Reiki's just like, okay, you give energy and that's it. No, I like to go in deeper and actually go in with trying to heal. I'm not just trying to give, I'm trying to heal. So that's why I'm like, no, you need to release it. And you need to release it from whether if it is like the heart, like some people, they'll throw up. Some
Really?
people, they'll throw up.
Holy
if
crap.
If they have a lot of fear, a lot of anger, they will throw up, or they'll start to cough a lot because it's like their body rejecting that. Now you're giving them love, and that's kind of what we're doing, is giving love through the hands. And that's why as soon as you start to open up your heart, you'll feel it a lot more. You'll feel that energy, and people's hands will just start to flow. They'll start to lift up, because it's almost like now you're connecting your mind, body, and spirit. Mind, body, and spirit, and it feels like your spirit is just moving you. It's healing you. It's like just doing all these things that you never even thought of. People doing hand mudras, like they'll just start doing like things that are just like, I don't know what's going on.
That's crazy.
But because like the body becomes like a magnet. So fingers, they'll start to magnetize together. Loose, magnetize. So everything becomes like
That's
that.
interesting. Do you do this on just humans or any animals?
You know what? I've tried it on animals. I just focus more on humans right now.
Yeah.
Because I feel like that's what we need to heal a lot of humans. So I have an autistic son too. And in a way, like, I think that's what got me more into this, is because I would always like, that led me actually to like a depression.
Really?
Yes, because it was like, how can I heal my son? How can I be living good while I see my son like lost in his world, lost inside his mind? And I think that's like the worst feeling for all parents, because autism is getting worse and worse every single day.
Right.
I think 2010, it was like 1 in every 150 or 125. Now, I just checked today, 1 in every 36.
Holy crap.
1 in every 36. So actually it was saying 4 boys out of every 100 will have autism, which that's crazy. That's horrible.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's one thing that I like want to specialize in more, but that's what I actually have more of, like a soft spot. Like that's what I want to, like, you know what? For me, it'd be more for autism, to try to heal that, because I don't want to have any child like be living and stuck in their own head. Like, imagine not being ever able to speak.
Do you think something like autism can be fixed?
I think it could be treated and healed. I don't want to say like cure or fix, because sometimes it's that they're very sensitive. They are probably 10 times more. So that panic attack that you said you had, that anxiety that you've had, think of them having that every single day 10 times
Holy
worse.
crap.
10
That's
times
what autism
worse.
is?
Yeah. Well, think about it. Like, that's why they can't, like, that's why they'll start to cry. They'll start to bang their head, because it's just so much, everything going on. They could probably hear every little ping.
Oversensory.
Exactly. So that's one thing. Like, when I was actually getting my Master Reiki certification, they make us do a lot of meditation. And one message that I did get was the temporal lobe. At first, I was like, what? Temporal lobe? I didn't know what that was.
Yeah.
You know, so I Google it, temporal lobe. And I see like that's the second biggest lobe or part of the brain. And that has to do with like stimulation, with like lighting, with talking, communication, and all that too. So whenever, and I will encourage any parent or any mother, if they can, like, rub their hands and just put their hands over them like this. And that will help calm that part down. Yeah. And they don't have to be certified in Reiki. Like, as long as you think of love, like healing your kid, healing your son, healing your daughter, whatever it is, like, think of love. Like, how would you love to see like your children or your son, child, whoever it is, daughter, to just like be able to speak, to be able to like just be healed? And I'm maybe just not autism. It could be ADD, ADHD. Just think of it and just like give them that love. Give them love. That's all you're doing, is giving love.
How intense was the Reiki certification? What did you have to do for that?
So it's basically just going through a lot of meditation and just learning. But the thing is, like, it's not so much that I like this actual, like, this gift actually like woke up in me. So it wasn't something that I went to go get certified in. It was actually in 2021. I got like this very strong spiritual awakening. Very strong spiritual awakening, where I started feeling energy. I started feeling emotions. My own hands started moving. The way you see people moving on my videos, my body and my hands started doing that, and I didn't know what was going on.
Wow.
I didn't know what was going on.
Was it from a psychedelic trip or just?
No, I was actually getting a energy session done, but it wasn't Reiki. I didn't know what Reiki was before.
Yeah.
It was actually called Access Conscious, or bars. And basically what they do is they touch energy points in your head, and it's supposed to do like a hard reset.
Got it.
Like a hard reset on your mind and body. But after that is when I just started laughing. I just started laughing, and then I started crying, and then the person's like, "Are you okay?" And I'm like, "I don't know." And all of a sudden my hand started lifting up, and the room got bright, like as if the ceiling just flew off.
Holy crap.
It got super bright in there, and all of a sudden, like, I could see all this light, and then something grabbed my arm and just put it on my heart. And that's actually when it was almost like it's as if I was being activated.
Damn.
It was crazy. It was so crazy. But after that, like all my family thought I was going crazy because you are experiencing all these things. And that's kind of what happens when you have a spiritual awakening. You are experiencing life differently now. You're seeing different things. You're feeling different things. But when you're living in this materialistic world, you don't feel that way. You're like, no, this is important. Money is important.
Right.
Like job, school, whatever is important. But when you are like having that spiritual awakening, you just feel everything. You feel everything. You're going through like think of like the movie like The Matrix. When you're being awoken, like all of a sudden now you're like, what? That wasn't real. That was never real. All of a sudden, that's what starts to happen. That's what you start to feel like.
Yeah.
And it starts, like, you do feel like you're going crazy, but all of a sudden, you're just like, as you believe in yourself more and more, things will start to, like, just settle down in a different way.
Your family probably thought you were nuts until you started performing.
Exactly. They did. And I had to believe myself first. I had to, like, convince myself, like, no, you're not crazy. Like, you are feeling and you know what you're going to do. You just have to believe in yourself. And that's kind of what I started doing little by little.
Wow.
Yeah.
So what are the more common issues you see in your patients right now?
I would say anxiety, depression. I get a lot of like women with sexual traumas too. So I see a lot of that. And usually like people that have really high anxiety are the ones that release a little bit better because think of like life, right? Life tries to break you down, tries to push you as hard as you can. The more you resist it, the more you'll feel that anxiety, the more you'll feel that depression.
Shaking, yeah.
So all of a sudden, when you're just like, okay, life, I give up, I surrender. And that's what has to happen during the session. Like you just have to surrender. Surrender. And all of a sudden, that's when you start to release all of that. Because only through surrender will this work.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the only way it'll work.
Yeah. I mentioned psychedelics earlier. Have you ever dabbled down?
I actually have. I've done ayahuasca. I've done... You know what? Actually, my first psychedelic was, I don't know if you know what 5-MeO is.
No.
5-MeO, DMT, or Bufo.
Oh, Bufo.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
Bufo or 5-MeO, DMT, which is the strongest form of DMT. It's the strongest form, which ayahuasca is DMT. But this is like the top notch. Like you will like literally feel like you die.
You burn it on yourself, right?
That's combo.
Oh, okay.
That one's combo. So Bufo is you smoke it. So it is also the venom from the toad, the Sonoran toad. You smoke it and you will just like blast off. You will
Jeez.
just go. You will just leave. And that's when you just start to like so when I did it, the first thing that came to my mind was of people that I was mad at. And what happened was, you know what? It wasn't me like expecting an apology from them. It was actually me saying sorry. Because I'm sorry that I was mad. I'm sorry that I created that. And that's the thing is that we create these emotions inside of us. It's not somebody throwing anger, sadness, or anxiety at us. No, we are creating those. We're allowing ourselves to get to that mode. We're allowing ourselves to get angry, to get mad, to get sad. So that's why I tell everybody, like, no, you have to, the same way that you're creating those energies or you're creating those emotions, you have to also allow yourself to release them, but not allow them to get to you. You have to just know, you know what, I'm not going to pay attention. And there's actually, I'm pretty sure you know who Sadhguru is.
Yeah.
So he's a famous, mystic. So he was telling a story of like, a person could tell you the worst things in the world if they told you, nasty, horrible things to you. But if they said it in a different language, would you get mad or sad or anything like that? No, right?
No.
So now they say the exact same thing in the language that you do understand. Now you have the choice to either accept it or listen to that person and create that emotion side of you, whether it was anger or whatever it is, or you know what? I'm not going to allow it to get to me. I'm not going to allow it. And that's why I tell everybody, like, don't allow yourself to be mad. Don't allow yourself to be like that. Allow yourself to be happy.
Right.
Allow yourself to be like that.
Be in control of your emotions rather than the other
Exactly.
way around, which most people, I would say, are.
Exactly. And then there's another thing too. A lot of people are like, oh, I want to just be positive. I want to stay positive. But that's not always like a good thing. Why? Because think of like neutrality, right? So this is neutrality. And when you're too positive, you go outside of that neutrality. And then what starts to happen is once you start to go outside and everything goes good, you start to create the life that you want. But guess what? That energy has to come back down.
Right.
It has to come back down. So the higher you go, the more positive you are. It's going to go up quick, but guess what? Once you start coming down, it's going to go down quick too, and then you're going to go into negative. And that's when you're going to start to feel life is against you. That's when you're going to start to feel like everything is against you. And that's why I tell everybody, like, try not to be so positive. If good things happen to you, you know what? Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you for everything, because thank you will maintain you.
Gratitude.
Thank you. Gratitude, exactly. Gratitude will maintain you in that neutrality. And it's better to be neutral than to be super positive.
Agreed. There's a limit, man. There's levels of delusion with the positivities.
100%, because people, like I said, like I know a lot of people that they'll do really good because they're very positive, but then I see them later on and they're doing really bad because everything is going against them now. And they feel like life is going against them. They're having bad luck. Their business is going down. Try to maintain yourself in neutrality. Try to maintain yourself in that neutral state of you know what, a good thing happened to you, thank you. Instead of being like, yeah, I did it. You know what, I'm the man. I'm doing good. I'm gonna go celebrate. And you can celebrate, but you know what? Always give thank you. Always give gratitude. Always give gratitude.
Yeah, there's a lot of ups and downs in life, and I used to have the mindset of trying to prevent the downs from never happening, and I realized that's not sustainable.
Nope.
Those are necessary.
Yeah, you have to go through life. And that's why I tell everybody, like, the best healers are the ones that went through the worst everything, like whether they got like molested or whatever, because once they can heal themselves, then they could heal others. You have to embody the healing. You have to embody, just the same way a business person. If a business person has never embodied success, how can they teach success, right?
Right.
So a healer, if they've never embodied healing, how can they heal?
Facts.
Right.
Yeah, if a therapist has never been through some stuff, I don't want you as my therapist.
Exactly.
You just learned it out of a textbook.
100%. That's why I tell everybody, like, since I'm a Reiki master, I do Reiki certifications too. And that's why I try to tell everybody, like, first, heal yourself. First, embody the healing. Embody releasing. If you've never released, if you've never actually let go, how can you try to tell somebody, hey, I need you to let go?
Yeah.
No, it won't work that way. You have to embody.
Absolutely.
You have to be that.
Yeah. Where can people get a session with you, man?
So they can find me on Instagram through Divine Healing Energy, Divine with the E, not DEIVIN. So right there's my link, and they can actually get a session whenever they feel.
And they have to be in Vegas?
So I actually travel to LA and Arizona, but right now I'm like, for Las Vegas, I'm like booked out like 2 to 3 months in advance. Yeah. California, I'm booked out like 3 months in advance.
I got to get on your books, man.
Yeah, so I'm really booked out, but you know what? I always thank God for everything that I have.
Yeah, that's a good problem to have. Yeah. I'm the same way with the show.
100%. Yeah, it's like you already know, so.
Love it, man. We'll link it below. Thanks for watching. Any other closing comments you want to make?
So I think I'm good for now.
You're good?
Yes.
All right, cool. We'll link everything below. Thanks for watching, guys.
Thank you.
See you tomorrow.